financial advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
Good evening, Hampton Roads. Welcome to another edition of Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm your host, Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna, coming to you live like I do every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Dialogue with you, take your calls. If you have a question or comment relating to your own personal financial situation, jump on the phone lines, give me a call, 627-7979. All we need is your first name, city you're calling from, and no matter what I'm talking about, if it's important to you, then it's important to me. We'll get you right on air. 627-7979. Wealthway Financial Advisors is the proud sponsor of Dollars and Common Sense. We are an independent registered investment advisor, which means we're legally held to a fiduciary standard to put our clients' interest ahead of our own in any business dealing or recommendation that we make, and that's the way it should be when you work with a financial advisor. As the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. So by design, we can't work with everyone. We work with a relatively small group of high net worth individuals, but that's one of the reasons we feel so strongly about coming here every second and fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m., and that's to reach out and help as many people in the Hampton Roads listening area that we can achieve your measure of financial success, because it is a core belief at Wealthway Advisors that the overwhelming majority of people in this country have the opportunity for financial security if they choose it. And it is a choice because it takes some time, it takes some effort, and it takes some knowledge. We are here to help. You got to take that first step, though. Pick up the phone, give me a call, 627-7979, whether you want to talk about anything having to do with the investment markets, the economy, insurance products like life insurance, health insurance, taxes, tax planning, tax reduction strategies, retirement planning, retirement plans, 401k, 403b, TSP, IRAs, Roth IRAs. How about mortgage options, Social Security claiming strategies, or estate planning, wills and trusts? All that and more falls under the umbrella of personal finance. We are here to discuss tonight. 627-7979. All right, tonight I'm going to talk about the psychology of money. So a rather deep and offbeat subject. Psychology of money consists of several components: money mindset, emotional influences, some behavioral economics, and then we're going to talk about some personal finance principles that mesh well with the psychology of money, and that can help you take advantage of your strengths and attempt to overcome some of your weaknesses. And then finally, some practical applications on how you can structure your finances in order to maximize your financial resources and help bridge the gap between some of those psychological feelings around money and actual practical use. So to start off with, out of the bat, oftentimes here on the show and in life, we talk about the technicalities around money, how to grow money, how to save money, how to reduce debt, how to invest properly, how to make more money at work. And that is all very well and good and important. But there's another side to money that we don't talk about as often that is probably even more important, because it drives a lot of those decisions that you make from a technical standpoint. So I can say, almost all of my adult working years have been in and around money. And if there is one area where people make some of the most illogical, irrational, emotional, poorly thought out decisions, it's around money. And that goes kind of contrary to conventional thinking, or one might think would be around money, where something that's so important to our day-to-day lives, it's got a math component to it. So there's a certain science around money, and there's some equations that can be used and solved to help you get more money. But all that kind of just goes out the window when it comes to decision making around money. And what is logical and in someone's best interest is often not the course that they pursue, I have found in my professional experience. So let's dive into some of the different areas around the psychology of money and see what influences those irrational, illogical decisions. So first off, all of us have a money mindset, which is kind of made up of nature versus nurture. So a mindset, what we think about money, what we feel about money, what money means to us. So the nature part of our money mindset, or what we're kind of born with innately, is a scarcity versus abundance mindset. So a scarcity mindset is the belief that resources are limited, which leads to fear-based financial decisions. And some of us, I've learned, are just naturally always worried that they don't have enough, right? Or some sort of cataclysmic negative event is going to befall us, and therefore we have to capture all the money we can, just in case there's that 0.001% chance of something negatively happening in our lives that would cause us to need a whole bunch of money. There's an element of that is positive and good, and that causes us to live below our means and save some of our money today to ensure a happy future. But if that is taken to an extreme, then negative habits develop and bad decisions result from that scarcity mindset. The other side of that coin is an abundance mindset, the belief that resources are plentiful, encouraging more optimistic and proactive financial behaviors. It sounds pretty healthy on the surface. However, there are people, I have learned, that go through life with entirely rose-colored financial glasses on. In other words, they think that all the money they make today is theirs to spend in totality, save nothing for the future, and even worse, add more layer debt on top of that. So spend everything they earned and then go into credit card debt or purchase an overly expensive card, stretch the loan out for 7 years and have too high of a loan payment. But they think, I've got enough today, I can do it. Whatever I can afford, whatever someone will let me purchase, I will buy today because I'll worry about tomorrow when tomorrow comes. So again, a little bit of that sentiment is fine and good and healthy and lets us enjoy without guilt the fruits of our hard work and our labor, the money that we earned. But too much of that mindset then causes us to develop a different set of bad financial habits. So how these mindsets influence spending, saving, and investing habits, I'll wind throughout some of the rest of the show, but scarcity and abundance are kind of the nature part of nature versus nurture with our money mindset. The nurture part is the things that we've learned through the years, and I will say that many adult money habits were most likely formed at a young, impressionable age by the behaviors that they saw in their parents. So how your parents related to money and how money was talked about in your house, how the sentiments around money in your house, whether you had a lot or a little, or the behaviors of your parents and how they talked about money and treated money and told you about money, go a long way to how you feel about money later on in life when you become an adult. And so, cultural norms are a big part of the nurture aspect of the money mindset. Different cultures view money and wealth differently. Some cultures are sort of the scarcity mindset. Other cultures are of the abundance mindset. So the people around you, your aunts, your uncles, your neighborhood that you grew up in, that can have effect on on how you feel about money and wealth. Then there's social pressure, the role of societal expectations and peer pressure in financial decisions. This is a big one. Keeping up with the Joneses, right? That's a pretty common sentiment. If you see your friends and your neighbors enjoying lavish vacations, they have expensive clothes, nice furniture in their house, they go out to eat at fancy restaurants frequently, you're just like, hey, I want that. I want that too. I deserve that. I work hard. How can they do it and I can't? So sometimes that social pressure causes you to deviate from healthy financial decision making and can cause stress on your own financial plan. And so those are kind of the fundamental feelings of a money mindset that kind of shape and form our decision making as we go throughout life. And then, of course, there are emotional influences. Fear and anxiety are a big one. Fear of financial instability can lead to conservative spending or hoarding. Think about, maybe a miser that we would call somebody who lives very Spartanly, very simply, but has massive amounts of wealth. That's sort of at odds, the Ebenezer Scrooge type of character. That fear of loss leads to a very risk-averse sentiment around investment strategies. Then there's greed and overconfidence, right? How greed can lead to impulse purchases and overspending. Like I was talking about earlier with an abundance mindset. Too much of that greed is trying to get more money just for money's sake. Not because it's enriching your life, but because you desire the tangible things that money can produce, and yet you might do that at the expense of your own happiness, your own health, your own marriage, your family relationships. Clearly a negative when it comes to greed and overconfidence. But then there's happiness and reward as an emotional influence. How positive emotions can lead to celebratory spending and treating oneself. And that's a healthy and positive reaction to money when done in moderation. But taken to extremes, if you're rewarding yourself every day after work because you made it through the day, well, that might not really require, a purchase of a new handbag or something like that after every day of work. So a little bit of celebration and financial rewards is good, but also the delayed gratification and building of savings is something that you reward yourself with long term. You're rewarding your future self at the expense of your present self. So trying to balance those sentiments of happiness and reward currently and in the future are something that you have to guard against working against you if you let those feelings overtake your day-to-day decisions. All right, going to pause right here, take a short break. We're going to be right back after these messages. Get those calls in now, 627-7979. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zibna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zibna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. All right, tonight we're talking about the psychology of money and how some of our own natural impulses tend to work against us when it comes to developing a healthy relationship with money and finances. So I started off by talking about a money mindset that is kind of ingrained in us through either nature or nurture. Then some of the natural emotional influences that weigh on our decision making, like fear and anxiety, greed and overconfidence, happiness and reward. Well, there's also an entire segment of the personal financial industry, a segment of study of the industry called behavioral economics. So it's starting to become more mainstream and more known that these biases we have and these natural inclinations aren't, well, they probably were valuable at one point in human creation back in our caveman days. Nowadays, in modern times, some of those influences and sentiments actually work against us to develop a healthy, positive relationship with money. So some of the rationale that they have gleaned from study of behavioral economics is some of these things are loss aversion, so the tendency to prefer avoiding temporary declines in value over acquiring equivalent future gains. It's kind of a mouthful, but basically people who are so afraid of any form of loss in their money that they resist any type of gain as well. So how this plays out in real life is these are people who pretty much never invest their money in common stocks or equities, but they keep all their money in the bank. Where you nowadays in your basic savings and checking are earning about 0.1% interest rate per year, which is horrible, or short-term, or I should say CDs, whether they be short-term or long-term in nature. And at least now in today's environment, you might be getting 3 to 4% on CD rates, which, okay, that's better than 0.1, but the whole point of accumulating or saving your money for some future use is to grow that money over time in excess of the cost, the pace of inflation. Well, historically, inflation runs at about 3% per year. And historically, banks pay almost always a little bit less, whether that's in bank accounts, money market accounts, super saver accounts, CDs, pay a little bit less than prevailing rates of inflation, because that's what prevailing interest rates do. They tend to lag inflation a little bit. So that means the money in the bank, no matter how you structure it, is losing purchasing power every year to the corrosive effects of inflation. So you might think through loss aversion, you might think, well, at least I'm not, investing in that crazy volatile stock market that goes up and down every day. Yeah, fair. But you're also putting it in vehicles that's losing purchasing power every year to inflation. So you are losing. You don't know it. You don't feel it. You don't think it's happening, but it's happening slowly over time with the majority of money in banks. So loss aversion is something that can hold people back from generating real meaningful wealth. Then there's another factor out of behavioral economics that's interesting: anchoring, the reliance on the first piece of information encountered when making a decision. So anchoring influences pricing perceptions and spending habits. So one of the ways that this works in marketing and retail is, a company puts a price out on the display and says it costs $100 for this item you want to purchase. But, oh, wait, today it's discounted to $80. So you anchor at the 100. You see, oh, well, that's what it is normally, 100. But today there's this discount down to 80. Well, it's cheaper, therefore I'm going to buy it today. When in fact, the company really didn't have any intention of selling it at 100 in the first place. It was always going to be 80, but due to the magic of marketing and the anchoring ideology that we all are susceptible to, it can cause us to make decisions that are not in our best interest. And then finally, mental accounting, the tendency to categorize and treat money differently depending on its source or intended use. So the money I make from my primary job goes for all the house bills, but my side money is all for spending, and I must keep the two separate. Or a lot of times we see people bucket their savings, so they get multiple bank accounts, and each bank account serves a particular spending purpose. Well, you're not really accomplishing much doing that. You're just complicating your financial situation. All right, I'm going to pause right here for the news. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes. 627-7979. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. Once there, you can request an information packet to find out what it's like to work with us, or sign up for a free quarterly newsletter at wealthwayadvisors.com. Just go to the Request a Consultation page, put your name and address in the dialog boxes there, select the appropriate drop-down menu, and we'll get that information out to you later on this week. And that's all we will use your name and address for, is just to send you the information that you request. Want to remind, and if you have any nuanced questions, you want to speak to a live human being, give us a call at the office, 757-456-2200. Want to remind everybody, our next live show will be in 2 weeks on Tuesday, May 27th. But if you can't catch us live every second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m., get this show as a podcast. Search for Dollars and Common Sense wherever you get your podcast. Download us, take us with you where you go, and listen at your convenience. And for those of you into social media, we have a presence on Facebook and LinkedIn. Search for Wealthway Financial Advisors, hit that like or follow button, and then once every week or two we put up an interesting and informative financial planning post to keep you engaged in the process. All right, tonight we're talking about the psychology of money. But before I get back into that material, we did get a caller during the break who couldn't stay on the line, so I'll try to summarize his question. Bob in Smithfield wanted to know if I would recommend a retired person putting money into Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin. Well, here's where we stand professionally on Bitcoin. It has some technology that I think has some very strong and wide-ranging applications, but Bitcoins themselves are still too far of a leap for us to professionally recommend to our clients. I still don't fully understand all the intricacies of Bitcoin, although I like the concept of Bitcoin, but how mechanically it actually works and how you achieve Bitcoins. I mean, I know there's mining and I know you can buy and sell Bitcoins on the market. I get that, but it's a little too hard to believe to take seriously at this point. So, and the market for Bitcoins is extremely volatile. I do not yet understand the end game of Bitcoin, or I don't see the end game developing enough yet. I mean, people who make money on Bitcoin sell the Bitcoin and turn it into dollars, when the whole point of the Bitcoin is to operate outside of government fiat currency. So you made a lot of money in Bitcoin, but then you convert it to dollars to spend. Yet the purpose of Bitcoin is to purchase goods and services without dollars. So there's a disconnect there that makes me uncomfortable. And so I guess I would summarize it by saying there's just too much uncertainty around Bitcoins at this point for a professional like myself to recommend it to our client base. And so, Bob, unless you are an extremely sophisticated investor with ample assets and a small portion of your overall net worth were used to purchase Bitcoin, I would say that you should probably avoid it for the time being until more of the Bitcoin sort of infrastructure gets built out. So I hope that answered your question there. Okay, back to the psychology of money, and how I started out the beginning of the show is that, when it comes to money, we think that we're all rational actors and we work in our best interest to earn money, save money, invest money, grow money, use money wisely, when I can report from extensive 35, 40 years of professional experience around money that no, that is not in fact the case, that many people make illogical, irrational, and emotional decisions around money that are decidedly not in their best interest. And some of that is just due to our hardwiring and how we're built as human beings. Other bad decisions are caused by the things we learned about money through the years from our family, from our neighbors, from our relatives. Some of it is based on actual some psychological science and behaviors that we all possess to ensure our self-preservation, but then work against the healthy use of money. So here's some personal finance principles that you can try to employ that will help you overcome negative financial, psychological sentiments, and some financial principles that can help you accentuate those positive psychological financial principles. So budgeting is one. And I won't spend a lot of time on it because I know, despite what I say about budgets, most people are not going to budget. They aren't going to try to budget. They're not going to stick to a budget. That's okay. You don't have to have a budget to be financially successful, but it will help some people overcome financial weaknesses. So the point of the budget is it provides you with financial control, and that financial control helps you overcome psychological weaknesses. So the goal-setting aspect of budgeting is what provides the structure and the motivation to help you achieve positive financial outcomes. So, many people feel that budgeting is restrictive and confining and laborious and administratively difficult. Yeah, there's elements of all of that. So it's also a very healthy activity that can lead to good, solid outcomes. So very briefly, some steps to create an effective budget. So 1, income assessment. Identify all sources of your income. Then do expense tracking. Categorize and track all your expenses. Then you have a budget allocation. You allocate funds to different categories based on priorities. And then finally, you review and adjust. So regularly reviewing and adjusting the budget as needed. So just know that a budget usually, I recommend that budgeting starts from, you don't create the budget first. The budget flows from your spending patterns. So don't restrict yourself on anything when creating a budget. Just spend as you would normally spend, but track your spending. And you can do that nowadays. Let's see, where did I have? You can do that nowadays much easier than it could ever been done in the past. So a lot of apps that you can keep on your phone, Quick and Simplify, Rocket Money. There's something called YNAB, Why Not a Budget. There's Empower, there's NerdWallet, there's Mint. All these things can help you track your spending. So really, starting a budget, you can start slow and easy by just tracking your spending for 3 or 4 months. And then a picture will emerge at where you're spending your money, and then you can make the determination whether you think that is in your long-run best interest. If you find yourself spending money on pursuits, activities, items, things that might feel good in the short term but work against your long-term interest, well, now you have the information to make behavioral changes that can set you up for success long-term. Okay. Other personal financial principles, saving and investing, right? So just to clarify a technical point, the difference between saving and investing, they're not the same thing. Saving is setting aside money for future use, but typically in stable, low-risk accounts. Think your bank money. As I talked about bank money before, bank money is good and necessary to have a certain amount, especially your emergency fund, right? 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses tucked away in a side bank account, not your checking account, separate bank account. That's your security blanket. That's your warm fuzzy, okay? That's what helps you get to sleep at night when you're worried about the economy or your job or kids' tuition payment, okay? Having that emergency fund will help calm those nerves. But saving is not investing. Investing is using money to purchase assets with the expectation of generating long-run positive returns, growing that money in excess of inflation. That's growing your wealth. So knowing the difference between saving and investing, first of all, is part of a good, solid financial principle. And then some basic investment principles and strategies that you use to take the money from savings to investing to grow your wealth. What are some basic principles of investing to help get your point in the right direction? Well, number one is diversification. That means spreading investments across different assets to reduce risk. So for most of us, I guess I'd say regular people who work for a living, W-2 type of wages, most of us are best off not investing in individual securities, not investing in individual stocks and bonds. Most of us are better off investing in diversified investment vehicles such as mutual funds or exchange-traded funds. Both mutual funds and exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, are similar in that they're baskets of anywhere between typically 25 to upwards of 1,000 individual securities in one mutual fund or one ETF. So just by purchasing one mutual fund, you already have met some level of diversification principles. And the reason why that is important is because a company can go out of business, which means its stock will go to zero, stay there, and you've permanently lost that money. So that risk gets taken right off the table when you invest through mutual funds or ETFs. So diversifying your investments diversifies your risk. Then there's risk tolerance, assessing individual risk tolerance and choosing appropriate investments. I would say that the concept of risk tolerance, while it is still very prevalent within the industry, it's becoming somewhat of a outdated concept to more forward-thinking investment managers and financial advisors. We at Wealthway do not ask for we do not have a questionnaire, or we do not quiz our clients on their risk tolerance when it comes to investing. We are the doctors prescribing a risk profile to our clients. We make an assessment of who they are as people and what they're trying to accomplish from a lifestyle and investment standpoint, and then we prescribe the type of portfolio that we believe is right for them. And then it is our job to educate our clients through the occasional temporary market declines that cause so much angst because people are afraid that they have lost money in a market decline or market pullback. No, you have not lost money unless you sell your investments at a loss. As long as you hold your existing investments, then what you have suffered is a temporary decline in value of that investment, but that is not the same thing as a loss. So risk tolerance is still a concept, but at least at Wealthway, it's something that we work with our clients on assigning. We don't let our clients tell us what their risk tolerance is, because studies after studies have shown that the average person does not properly assign the risk tolerance to the situation. And then a little bit having to do with long-term versus short-term investment strategies. You do want to align your money purpose with a timeline. So money that you expect to use within 6 to 12 months, I would probably say up to 2 years, is considered short-term. We would consider that short-term. Short-term money should probably not be subjected to the short-term gyrations of equities and the stock market. That's the type of money that should be tucked away safely in a bank account or in a short-term CD. Longer-term money that you're saving up for a home purchase one day, your kids' college education, obviously retirement is a big one, but the vacation home, any other sort of long-term purpose of the money, that is money that can and should be invested in equities, because over a long-term hold period, 5 years or greater, probably closer to 10, there is a very high probability that you will have more money in that over that time period than you have today if you invest properly. So time is a huge component when it comes to investment management and selecting the appropriate investments for your objectives. All right, we're going to pause right here, take our last break. We're going to be right back after these messages. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. All right, tonight talking about the psychology of money, and we're going to wrap it up with some practical applications that you can introduce into your daily life to help you overcome some of these psychological barriers and weaknesses, and harness the positive aspects of a psychological approach to money to help ensure that you make the most of all your resources. So one would be setting financial goals, the importance of setting financial goals, because goals provide direction and motivation for financial planning, and then you can use the goals to measure progress and adjust strategies. Now, I will tell you also from practical professional experience that most people who come to Wealthway to work with us don't come with a set of financial goals, and that's okay. Other than I want to have more money at some point in the future so I can do something with this money. That's kind of everyone's unstated goal, right? I want you to help me make more money in the future, and then I'll figure out what to do with it. Okay, well, that's a good starting point. And then it usually more specific and concrete goals reveal themselves. Sometimes it takes years for that to unfold. But with the help of a good financial advisor and the use of good artful probing questions, eventually we get from our clients some specific and concrete goals that we can then help them work towards. So what makes up a good goals framework? Well, there's an acronym called SMART Goal Framework. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, SMART. So the goal needs to be clearly defined. It needs to be measurable, can be achievable, can't be pie in the sky, needs to be relevant to and line up with your financial objectives, and then you have to put a time limit on it. Otherwise, a goal that's not a goal, that's just a wish. Then you need to build some healthy financial habits. So in order to do that, you want to automate your savings. You can start that with your company retirement plan. Go to payroll, have a certain amount deducted from your paycheck, right into the 401k plan, get it invested. Automate your savings. Track your spending. I talked about some of the apps that are available today to much easily track your spending. Quick and Simplify, Rocket Money, NerdWallet, Mint, those type of things. And then you want to conduct regular financial reviews to make sure you're on track. So monthly, you could do that. That might be a little too frequent. I would say quarterly is a good time frame, or biannually is a good time to track your spending, your budget, and your progress towards goals. And then, of course, in order to help you do some of this, the use of financial advisors are specifically designed to help people do that. And you don't have to use us. There's plenty of other good people here in the Hampton Roads area here that can help you develop a plan, a budget, and articulate your goals and point you in the right direction. And Damien tells me I'm running out of time. I wanted to get to some financial challenges that would help you overcome, but I'm not going to have enough time for that. We'll try to do this again, another show, because I think it's worthy and interesting. All right, we're going to be back in 2 weeks on Tuesday, May 27th. Until then, I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS. The preceding program was sponsored and paid for by Wealthway Financial Advisors. We are solely responsible for its content.